You are feeling stuck and frustrated. Your relationship is hanging on by a thread. And you feel like you've become roommates and your relationship just feels as if it's dead. The silent arguments, the growing distance, the fear that maybe, just maybe, your relationship is too far gone. You're wondering if online counseling for couples can really help you.
I want you to know something important. Your hesitation is 100% completely normal.
Couples therapy almost never works.
So are you saying that if one of the partners is gaslighting, therapy can actually be harmful if it's not someone who can understand what's going on?
Most couples therapy is useless, not because the therapy is wrong.
One is all in for it and is convinced I'm going to fix their partner, and the other partner comes in dreading it, but they say, what sort of buzzsaw am I walking into?
Can online counseling for couples help you? Yes, it absolutely can.
Marriage Health with James and Terry Craft.
Yeah, let me tell you something most experts will not tell you. Your relationship isn't broken. It's stuck.
We've helped thousands of couples navigate everything from communication issues all the way through betrayal trauma and affair recovery.
But when it comes to online counseling for couples, there's one critical factor, one piece of advice that most couples are never told. And that single piece of advice, which might save your marriage, is this. Not all relationship support looks the same. You see, you are here because you're looking for marriage counseling, couples therapy, couples counseling, marriage counseling. These are what you search for when you feel like you need support for your relationship. But the support that you really need might exist under a different name: marriage and relationship coaching. We found that almost all the couples that reach out to us use the word counseling. And almost all of the couples that reach out to us describe issues that require coaching.
Here's an inquiry that just came in 15 minutes ago. Very simple, one line. My husband and I need marriage therapy. Do they?
What's the difference?
Traditional counseling typically looks at childhood development and past trauma. Traditional counseling digs into your past. Coaching, we actually launch you into your future. The difference between counseling and coaching, it gives the coach a little more freedom to step into the trenches with the client that they're working with. A lot of times a counselor will be listening. There'll be a lot of talk therapy to take place. And as you're talking through it, you're able to work through it.
We get couples all the time who feel as if they're on a hamster wheel in terms of the counseling that they're getting. Could be that maybe that counselor isn't trained in a specific modality that really would help this couple. Maybe they're not trauma informed, or they don't understand betrayal trauma, affair recovery, those kinds of things. There could be some issues there attributing to that feeling as if we're just kind of going around in circles. But we tend to get a lot of clients who say, I've been doing, talk therapy for years and I'm stuck. I'm still stuck. And it feels like all we do is talk. And that's where the coaching really comes into play.
Counseling and coaching even have different rules that they need to follow. Most counselors are limited from being able to help you if you don't live in the state where they have a license.
One of the things that we hear all the time at Marriage Health is, hey, I have done a Google search for counseling for my specific issue in my community and I can't find it. And sometimes it's like it doesn't even exist somewhere in my state where I can get that help. And that's the beauty of what we're able to do through Marriage Health. We have the training, the expertise, and we're able to work with you across the country, across the world.
Counseling is a very noble and protected profession. A counselor isn't allowed or even expected to step into your life and walk through challenges with you. We all want that counselor like Jason Segel to break all the rules and risk losing a license that costs them tens of thousands of dollars and thousands of hours, just to be honest with us and tell us what they really think.
What's on your mind today?
Just kept on going on and on about how dumb I am. But he loves me.
Your husband is emotionally abusive. He's not working on it. He doesn't intend to. Just leave him.
Okay.
That's honestly not a very healthy counselor. Probably not what's going to help you. And if there's part of you that still has a glimmer of hope that your marriage can be more beautiful, more romantic, more honest, more healthy than it ever was, the marriage you dreamed it could be, and you're willing to fight for it, we believe God can do a miracle with that. And we'll certainly do our part to help.
In this video, we're going to walk you through the 5 stages of online counseling, coaching that is best for you.
And how you and your partner can get your relationship back on track.
Stage 1 is the honest conversation.
That honest conversation is so powerful because it gets everybody sort of on the same page. And what we want to be able to discover is, do you want to be here, first of all? And are you willing to do the work? And let's be honest about it.
If you want to build anything in your relationship, truth has to be the foundation. Period. If we get caught in this where we're not being honest with one another, then you're never going to be able to experience any kind of growth or potential in your relationship.
When you have to step into an environment where you're feeling vulnerable about maybe decisions you've made that have impacted the relationship, sometimes when we're dealing with things like affair recovery or infidelity or an addiction or there's been deception, this is going to be one of the hardest steps, is like, hey, I'm going to be honest now in front of not only my spouse, but I'm going to be honest in front of, another person. But if I can see that the person who's saying I'm going to be honest, if they're willing and they're vulnerable and they're humble about it, it's like, we're going to be able to go places.
And this is hard because, we've noticed this when couples are behind closed doors in their home, honest conversations without controlled environments is sometimes deadly. It can be kind of harsh. It could be hurtful. It could be devastating. It can be traumatic for many. And so when you're able to have this to be a safe environment, to have an environment where you can actually be able to be honest with support, it's the key. Honest with support. You're not going to do it alone. We're going to do it together. And in this honesty, it might hurt, but you're not going to be alone in this, and that we're going to navigate this together.
That is a really very systematic process. It sounds, so simple, like we just come and we're going to be honest with one another. But as a trained professional, we have guidelines for there to be safety, and we systematically walk through that because we know that there is often resistance or there's fear. So we carefully navigate that because we have to know that we're walking in honesty. Stage 2 in the process is goal mapping. And what we're really going to do in this process is after we've established the foundation of honesty and truth on a daily, regular basis, we're doing some honest, heartfelt check-ins with each other. Then what we're going to do is we're going to sit down when the couple is ready, and we're going to be able to start saying like, okay, where do we want to go from here? So what does it look like? What does it look like for the next week, 2 weeks, month, 6 months?
Terry's point is the perfect segue for us to talk about this episode's sponsor, the Kirk Gleason Gold Company. As you know, in these uncertain times, drones have been taking over major cities. You can't trust the government, so it's critical to convert all of your assets into gold. It's themed after the character Kirk from Gilmore Girls. No, we're only kidding. We don't have a sponsor, and we don't know if there's a company that sells Kirk-themed gold bullion, or if it's a good idea to sell all of your things and buy gold. But we do want to tell you about something that's really special that we made just for you. Before you can know what your goals are in your life, before you can even start growing really, sometimes you have to get back in touch with yourself. This sounds simple, but sometimes our lives are shaped by trying to make sure everyone else is okay, and we don't even know what's going on inside of us anymore. And then when we experience trauma, there are parts of yourself that will literally shut down. And the only way to start getting these parts of you back is to just start writing. Get a journal and fill it up. We know how powerful this is, so we made something to help you do this. For both men and women, we created the Life Unplugged Men's Journal and the Life Unplugged Women's Journal. We take therapeutic practices combined with faith-based devotions. We put it all into a journal to help you reconnect with yourself, reconnect with your partner, and reconnect with God. This is also the sweetest gift if you know someone who needs to focus on themselves more this year. Check it out in the link in the description and grab yours directly from Amazon. Then make yourself a coffee and just start writing. And again, do not buy gold from anybody on YouTube. Back to James and Terry.
Now, the second phase is goal mapping. If you don't have a vision or a goal of where you want to go, you'll never move forward. If it's a healthy marriage, well, then that's a goal. We're going to break it down to say, what does a healthy marriage look like? We want to have healthy communication that is respectful and kind. We want to learn how to fight fair in our relationship. We want to have an intimate relationship. Well, what does that look like? And if we want intimacy to be increased, well, what are the steps to get there?
And sometimes it might be just as simple as we have been separated. Now we are looking at what does it look like to have some restoration there, maybe having one of the spouses move back in the house or move back into a room if they've been out of that room, or what does it look like to start having different levels of communication. And then those goals sort of flavor the other phases to come.
Stage 3 is communication breakthrough. Most couples don't know how to communicate. Period.
As we've assessed what it is they need, we've established that truth. We've really started to understand where we're going because we have set those goals. And now what we're going to do is we're going to really start communicating in a different way on a daily basis. If a couple is coming to us for coaching because they're feeling stuck in an area of communication, intimacy, maybe the phase of life they're in, maybe, there's too much busyness going on and they've like, who are you? I want to know you again. And you're like a roommate and I want to dive into a new depth of our relationship. This phase, we're looking at unique ways to bring communication in a creative way back into our relationship.
Many people, they don't like conflict. Who likes conflict, right? We don't like to have conflict, especially intimate conflict. So we have to learn how to navigate communication with one another and navigating with respect and honor and care. This is going to be something that you work on until the day you die because you're a human being with real emotions and real feelings, but you gather tools along the way to be able to say, hey, how do we do this differently? And then there's accountability. That's the key. There's accountability with your coaches that will say, hey, how did we do? We didn't do so well. Well, let's unpack that a little bit. Why not? Let's find out how you guys got to this place, and then let's unpack it so that you can actually move forward on a different path rather than the same old path that you've always lived on.
When we're dealing with a fair recovery, we're going to really be, again, on a very safe, strategic, careful plan. And sometimes this communication is more like a check-in. Like, what does our recovery process look like? Where are we in that recovery process on a daily or weekly basis? How am I feeling? What is my commitment to, if I'm walking through addiction recovery, what is my commitment to my recovery plan and helping my spouse understand that? Or what is that trust building start to look like? And let's communicate what that is back and forth. That's going to be a lot slower and more strategic, but we still start to introduce the communication here. Stage 4 is skill mastery. So here is where, when we've got a couple who's on sort of the fast track to, just supercharging their communication, their intimacy, their life together because of, busyness and children, this is when we start to really move those needles, I guess, if you were to say, where we're putting into action that communication, and we've got those goals. We're living in truth and honesty with one another, and it's kind of like, okay, so on a daily and weekly basis, what does it look like to, if we give you some sort of challenging exercises, what does it look like for you to put those into action and keep those going? Can I be honest with you? When you have children and they're in sports or extracurricular activities, if I'm working, and so many of our clients are couples who are both working. So we have a mom and a dad, or both spouses or partners are in a full-time job. It's stressful. So a lot of times what happens in sort of that counseling environment is you talk, and then you just come back the next week and you talk more. So in the coaching environment, this is where it's really fun, because we start to say, okay, let's put some of these things that we have now used as a foundation, and some of these exercises and skills and creative ways that are working for you. And we're going to keep you accountable and say, okay, is this happening on a daily or weekly basis? And so if a couple shows up the next week and says, I didn't really do those, this is where we're going to be able to encourage and be able to say, hey, I am only as effective as a coach as you are willing to walk alongside this encouragement. this accountability. So if you want to see your goals met, this is where I'm going to say, hey, let's keep doing this. Let's be committed. And when you are, you're going to become a master, right? You're going to have that mastery, that skill is going to now show the fruit in your relationship.
This is important because the way our brains are formed is by repetition. You know, if you look at the neural pathways in your brain, they're formed through repetition. And you can see a lot of addicts this way. They'll go to a coping mechanism like sexual things or, when it's a process addiction. And so we have to become a master of some of these processes or all processes in our lives. What does a master mean? Is it like, hey, I'm going to be perfect in all this? No. Mastery is not becoming a perfectionist in your playing field of what you're supposed to be doing and how you're living your life. Mastery is, it doesn't control me any longer. I control it. Okay, I control my anger. It doesn't mean I'm not angry anymore. I control it though, so that it's not damaging other people. I control, my thought life. Before it might have gone crazy, and so you just went off of, any kind of thoughts you're thinking of. No, but you become a master of that, and you learn ways of living. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to be compassionate, empathic, and kind. You learn how to do these things that go beyond your insecurities and your fears, goes beyond your challenges of your childhood, of what you worked through and how you were developed at a young age, and you become an adult. I tell a lot of guys this: your 12 or 10-year-old boy, you, me, James, I used to be called Jamie when I was a little kid, but Jamie was always in charge. And Jamie was in charge of all of my emotions. And so I'm a 30-year-old, 35-year-old man, not any longer. And all of a sudden I get conflicted, or challenged in a situation, and my 10-year-old, 12-year-old Jamie takes over and he becomes in charge. Wait a second. Well, when we learn the tools and be able to work through some of the challenges and acquire the tools that is needed, then we become that person who's in charge of our emotions and our response and our reactions, because we become an adult here. And then we become the master of the experiences and the master of those situations. Like I said, not perfected. You'll always work through the challenges, but you'll have the tools to navigate those challenges.
Stage 5, we like to call that sustainable love. And I know that kind of sounds like a really big sort of term, but how do we sustain? And James and I are really big into the concept of resiliency. And it's like, well, when I'm knocked down, how do I get back up? Because if you're like me, a mother of 3, or like my husband, a father of 3, career, life, the crazy world that we're in, the economic struggles that we face, our personal journey, our discipleship, our faith journey. I mean, there's a lot of things that sort of hit us in the face. And those storms, it makes it hard sometimes to stay committed to a process of transformation or a process of growth and strategy. And so, that's where we as a coach, we as coaches are able to really walk with an individual or a couple and say, hey, how do you sustain this when life gets hard? And so our encouragement oftentimes with couples, and we have seen couples we've walked with couples, some couples for 5 years. It doesn't mean that they're meeting with us on a weekly basis. At first it was maybe weekly because they were really in the trenches. And then maybe it was a couple times a month. And then we have some clients where we meet with them once a month. And we've been doing that for years, where it's like, okay, we're honing in and we're doing that sort of like evaluation and that exploration of how are we taking all of that communication, all those goals, all that mastery, all of the things that we have been using in our relationship to get us unstuck or to bring repair to the damage that has been caused. And how do we keep that going? And it's not just like, hey, I love you, because sometimes words can be hurtful. Because when I say, hey, I love you, but I'm not showing you that love, I'm not being reliable or authentic in the way that I'm showing up. And hey, I was a year ago or 2 years ago when I was in this great coaching process, but now everything's gotten busy and I'm just sort of back to normal. It's like, that's when coaching is so great, because we're able to say, hey, how do you keep this going? And you need sometimes an alongside-er to encourage you to do so.
Funny thing about life is that sometimes we get kicked down and we get pushed down, or we just feel like quitting. We feel like throwing in the towel. And there's a resiliency that has to be developed in our internal being. Like, I'm not going to give up. See, there's a point with my relationship with my wife, Terry, is that I'm committed to her. I'm not going to give up on her. And I don't want to give up. Now, at one time, I was in my deep brokenness and I was literally lost in my life, and I almost forfeited my relationship with my wife and my family. But at that time, I had a choice to make. My love was so deep. I just wanted to love my wife with an authentic love. And so I had to make a choice. Will I put my hands on my knees and give up? Or will I stand up strong and keep running the race that is set before me? And I had to trust the Lord to give me everything. I'll tell you right now, God is my strength. He gave me everything I needed to take one more step. I'm not even talking about the end. I'm just talking about one more step. And that is the key about this step in this process, is understanding that all I need to do is I got to show up, and I got to take one more step towards the goal, and not give up in the process, so that I can get to that finish line together with my wife, together with my family, because that is my legacy and that's my calling. And so I didn't see that at first earlier on in my life, but then as I came crashing down, I was able to see, wait a second, there's something much more here. There's a deeper love that God wanted me to experience, that I was able to, one, receive and to give and to experience in my life. At Marriage Health, our online process has helped thousands of couples. I'm not joking. Thousands of couples navigate affairs, broken communication, challenges in their intimacy, walking through even with family dynamics, how to be a mom or dad and have a healthy marriage, and doing that, dealing with trauma in their own personal life, how they work through that. A lot of people come to Terry and I because they feel completely safe, because there is a husband and wife walking through the journey together. It's not just a individual, a man or just a woman that's leading a couple. It's a couple leading a couple. And so, and the great thing about it is with Terry and I, we walk through that process with a unified heart to help lead both through a process of healing. Well, when husband and wife, Terry and I, come alongside a couple, it helps them and empowers them to move forward together. And they feel an advocacy in their own lives. Hey, the woman that has Terry, that has a great coach. I think she's the best coach I know. And this is something that she's able to come alongside of them and empower them, strengthen them, and give them the tools to succeed. And I'm able to do that with the man. And it's pretty powerful, because not often do people get the opportunity to have a couple work with another couple as coaches. It's wonderful.
Marriage Health with James and Terry Kraft. If you feel like you need someone to come alongside you, reach out to us. The link is in the description.